Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sharon Jakubecy Klehm. And today it's later in the early evening. We want to get settled and get ready for a restful night of sleep. And I know all of you sit a lot all day at work and sit at a computer. We're going to focus today on getting the sitting out of your seat today with lots of hypno openers. And we're going to also really stay on the ground. So you're grounded and just soothing your nervous system, getting yourself in a more relaxed state so that you are ready for sleep this evening. So starting in Shavasana, and lay on your back. And start to notice that your body is breathing you. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to hold on to any particular shape. You can let go of your jaw. You can let go of your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Let them rest on the floor. And allowing your arms to rest with your palms facing up a little bit away from your sides. It gives room for your ribs to move with your breath. Letting go through your glutes, letting go through your seat. Letting go through your thighs. Letting the weight of your calves just drop into the floor. And then here you're going to windshield wiper your feet. So swaying your feet, actually your legs are extended and you're just gonna windshield wipe your feet. So you're not bending your knees quite yet. So swaying the feet, so you'll be rocking on the heel, that starts to move the legs in the hip joints. There's a little internal rotation, a little external rotation. This helps to let go of the thighs. So the thighs get really tight when you're sitting all day. You can windshield wiper the legs together, or you can go opposite. They both go in at the same time and out at the same time. Just so that it's a loose movement, not an effortful movement. And then with a little bit of weight in your seat and a tiny bit of weight in your heels, you can bounce your knees very lightly. So little light bounces of the knees. Massaging the calves, allowing the ankles, knees, and hips to have a little bit of movement. And then you're going to fold your right knee up and put your right foot on the floor. And then fold your left knee up and have your left foot on the floor. And just having a sense of your pelvis. Your pelvis is supported by the floor. The sacrum and the back of the pelvis is resting back in space onto the floor, allowing the low back to start to soften. And then from here, starting small, you're gonna let your knee, now you can let your knees windshield wiper, side to side. Pairing the movement with your breath. So you're not holding your breath while you move your legs side to side. And this also begins to massage your low back. So When you're sitting at a computer all day, the low back can get tight, the hips can get tight. And you let that action get bigger and bigger and bigger. You can cactus your arms so that your elbows are the same line of your shoulders. That can give you some stability. So that continual attention on your breath ensures that you're not holding your breath, and then let both knees go over to the right. So we're not going to have the thighs on top of each other yet. So the right knee is a little bit more off to the side than the left. In this twist, your breathing will move into your left ribs. And if you start to feel like you need to yawn, yawning is a great sign. Definitely let yourself yawn. And then you can bring your left thigh over to your right thigh, going deeper into the twist. Checking your left shoulder and left upper arm that's still on the floor. You can even look over to the left. And as breath moves in, breath moves down into the left low back. And then placing your left foot on the floor, letting your left knee come up towards the ceiling. Then letting the right knee come up towards the ceiling. You might need to push into your feet to bring your hips back to center. And once again, that little windshield wiper action of the femur bones, the thighs. When you let breath out of your mouth, your jaw releases, your lips release, your tongue releases. That lets the chest open. And then you let both knees go over to the left. The left knee is a little bit more forward than the right. And you can even push down through the right knee towards the floor. That will start to open the front of the right hip. And then bringing the right thigh on top of the left thigh, going deeper into the twist. Checking in with your right shoulder and your right arm, that they're on the floor. You can even take your gaze over to the right. And then bringing your right foot to the floor. And bringing the left knee up. So both knees are up toward the ceiling. And now we're going to go into figure 4 or reclined pigeon. So you're going to push a little bit into the left foot, bring your right knee up. Turn the right knee out to the side and bring your right ankle on top of your left knee. You want to flex the right ankle so that the ankle is protected. And then reach your hands around your left thigh. Check your neck and your chin. So in this, it's really tempting to lift the chin, and that compresses the neck. So let the chin come down and let the back of the head move away from your shoulders. So your neck is long. And you might be feeling this in the outside of the right hip. If you want to go deeper, move on the out breath to hug the left thigh in. And then without slingshotting the leg, slowly letting go of the left leg, letting the left foot find the floor. Taking the right ankle off of the left thigh, and then we'll switch. Lifting your left knee, taking it out to the side, bringing your left ankle on top of your right knee. And then reaching around the right thigh. If you've lifted your chin and crunched your neck, let the chin come down. Let the chest open and widen so the back of the neck is long. Figure 4 on the second side. When you want to go deeper into the stretch, move on an out breath. Slowly letting go of your right thigh, letting the right foot find the floor. And then you're going to float your right knee to your right hand. And then floating your left knee to your left hand. So we're headed towards happy baby. So maybe this is good for you. Maybe you want to hold your shins. Maybe you want to hold your ankles. Or maybe you want to hold on the outside of your feet. And then you're guiding your thighs to the outside of your ribs. You can do a little back massage here, rocking side to side. It's also massaging your kidneys in the back. You can extend your left leg while your right knee is bent. And then extend your right knee while your left knee is bent. So this is one of my favorite poses, especially if I've been sitting a lot. And then going deeper into happy baby, sending the knees towards the sides of the ribs. And then you're gonna let your left foot find the floor and hug your right knee in. And if you want, you can keep the left knee bent or you can extend through the left leg. Whatever feels good to you. And then, oh, this might be a good time for a strap. Actually, if you have a strap, you can place your strap underneath the ball of your right foot and extend the leg up. You can also, if you don't have a strap, you can hold behind the thigh or hold behind the calf or up towards the ankle. And then letting the right knee fold. You're going to bring the left knee in so they're both bent. And then taking them both up towards the ceiling for waterfall. This is great too when you're sitting a lot, all the blood sort of collects in your feet. So this is great for letting the blood flow out of your feet and back into your brain. And then you can let the right foot find the floor and hug your left knee in. Really pairing movement to breath, especially when you go deeper, letting breath out as you go deeper. Then you can extend the right leg if you like. Flexing through the right heel so you're stable. And then you can either grab a strap or hold behind the thigh to extend the leg up. When you feel like there is room to go a little deeper, move on your out breath. And folding your left knee. Bringing the right knee up to meet it. Little massage here on the back. And then sending both legs up back to waterfall. You can send the arms out to the sides. Stay here for a moment, and maybe you can point and flex your feet and your ankles. So getting some movement into the ankles here. Pointing and flexing and pointing and flexing. And spreading the toes here. Now, from waterfall, you're going to cross your right leg over your left. So the right thigh is over the left thigh. You might be able to hook the right foot underneath the left ankle, or just put them right next to each other. And then you're going to take the left arm underneath the right arm. So we're in a supine eagle. The other option is you can also hug your shoulders here. So you can bring the backs of the arms together or wrap the wrists around. And then we're going to bring the knees to the elbows. And coming back down onto your back. Breathing out as you bring your knees to your elbows. Coming back to your back. We'll do 2 more of these. On and out breath. Coming as close to your knees to your elbows as you can. And coming back down. 1 more. Knees to elbows. Letting the feet and the arms unwind. And then we'll do the second side. Bringing the left thigh over the right thigh. Maybe you just hold the left ankle next to the right ankle, or maybe you wrap your foot behind the calf. And then you're going to take your right arm underneath your left arm. You can either hold at your shoulders and hug yourself, or bring the backs of the wrists together, or wrap the wrists. Floating the knees up. On and out breath, bringing your knees to your elbows and your elbows to your knees. We'll do 3 more. Knees to elbows, elbows to knees. Check your jaw. You're not clenching your jaw while you do this. 2 more. And we don't want to lift the chin because that will tighten the neck. So really lifting from the back of the head. 2 elbows to knees. And unwind. Just a little bit of heat in the abdominal area. And so now from here, we're going to cross the right leg on top of the left. You're going to bring your knees up so that they're facing, aiming up for the ceiling. But you're going to send your heels away from each other. And then maybe you can hold, so you're holding your right calf with your left hand and your left calf with your right hand. Or you're holding at the ankles, or you're holding at the heels. So this is a nice little hip opener. And flexing the heels. If you have the desire to go deeper, move on an out breath. So to go deeper, you're bringing your heels away from each other and towards you. And slowly coming out of this, letting your left foot find the floor, letting the right foot find the floor, and then wrapping the left thigh over the right, floating the knees up. So you're either going to hold the shins, the ankles, or the heels, and then bring the heels away from one another. If anything is a strong stretch, you have strong sensation, let your breath move into that area. letting the knees fold. Your right foot will find the floor first, and then your left foot. Then we're going to roll to our sides, and then roll over to child's pose. So for child's pose, you can put padding underneath your knees, and you can also put padding, so I have a rolled up blanket here behind your knees. A wider stance with your knees is going to be more hip opening. With your knees together, it's going to be more low back opening. So just paying attention to what your body's asking for. If your low back wants some more attention, have the knees together. And if your hips want more attention, have the knees a little bit apart. For child's pose. And then we can have active arms here in child's pose. So your whole hand is spread out on the floor, and you're pushing into both hands so your elbows lift off of the floor. And we're going to go through a little flow here. We're going to be moving from child's pose. You're going to push down into your shins and rolling up. And then coming forward to a bit of an up dog. And when we're forward, this is opening the front of the hip. And then you're going to push down into your hands, tuck the chin, roll through the spine to send the hips back into child's pose. Pushing down to the tops of the feet and the shins. Rolling through the spine, your spine is round, and then letting the hips come forward to a gentle upward dog. And then tucking the chin, pushing down through the arms. One more child's pose here. And when you're ready, you can come up to tabletop. And then we're going to go through a little cat-cow. So dropping the top of the head, lifting the middle of the spine, letting the tailbone drop down for cat. And then starting to look out, lifting the gaze, lifting the back of the hips, dropping the belly for cow. Just check in with your elbows and your wrists, the eye of the elbows pointing forward, and you have weight on your whole palm, especially the ball of the pointer finger. And then letting the head drop, tucking the hips under, lifting the mid-spine. And letting the belly drop, looking out, lifting the bottom of the pelvis for cow. And do this a couple times, listening to what your body needs, so you can also do some organic movement, moving side to side. You can do some circles here if that feels good. Just really nourishing any body parts that need extra attention. And from here, when you're ready, we come back to neutral. So we're going to do sort of a half balancing table. You're going to reach your right foot back and really flexing through the right toes. And you can actually rock back and forth here to warm up the ankle and the calf. And then you're going to reach the right heel back. You can even extend the right heel up, and that opens the front of the hip. And then you're going to bend the knees. You go into a cat and bend the knee underneath you. And then reaching the right heel back and behind you. A little bit of cow. Bring the right knee underneath. And reaching the right heel back. And letting that leg come down. Shaking it out a little bit. You can give your wrists a little break here if you want. You can always bring, so if the wrists do get tired at all, you can put a little lift underneath the wrist. You can also come onto fists. That's another option. Or you can come onto your forearms. So let's do the second side. So you're going to reach the left heel back, and you're on the toes. So you're really flexing through the left ankle. And just a little rock forward and back, stretching the calf. And then letting left heel reach straight back behind you. You're dropping the toes, especially the pinky toes. So we don't want to turn out and lift the pinky toes up. Pinky toes are pointing straight down towards the ground. And then you're going to fold the knee underneath you as you go into a cat, arching the back. And then reaching the heel straight behind. Maybe letting the heel lift up a tiny bit, depending on how your back feels. And then bringing the left knee up underneath you. And reaching the left heel back, up. Extending through the front of the body here. Let's do that one more time. Bring the knee underneath you, rounding the spine, and reaching it back. I'm gonna let the left knee find the ground. From here, you're going to bring your right knee to your right wrist. And then you're gonna bring the right heel to the left. So we're headed towards pigeon. So for pigeon, it can be really helpful to bring a little bit of lift underneath the right hip. So the front bent knee can have a little bit of lift. If your body wants more opening, you can bring your right heel so it's closer to the same plane as the knee, or if you want less, letting the right knee come closer towards your hips. And then from here, folding forward, maybe you come to your forearms. What's really important is you don't want to fall out to the right. So you're really over center. And if your body says yes, maybe you let your forehead come down to the backs of your hands. Another nice hip opening here. Softening the jaw, letting the mouth have space. Letting the shoulders melt away from the ears. So you're not letting the shoulders creep up towards your ears. And then pushing down through the forearms, coming up to the hands. You're going to tuck your back foot and come up to that knee and bringing the right leg behind you. Maybe shake it out a little bit. So from tabletop, on the second side, you'll bring your left knee to your left wrist. If your hips are feeling a little less open, you can bring the heel closer to you. If your hips are feeling a little bit like they want a good stretch, you can bring your left heel forward closer to your right wrist. Bringing a little support underneath your left hip can be really helpful too, so that you don't fall out to the left. And then on an out breath, coming down to the forearms. Just really listening to your body. On your right leg, make sure you're on the top of the right foot and you're not turned out through the right leg. And if you want to go deeper, you can bring your forehead down to the tops of your hands. Letting your breath move to the outside of the left hip. To come out of this, you're going to push down through your forearms and then pushing, coming up to the palms, tucking your back toe so that you can come up and make a little space for the left leg to move. Shake it out a little bit. So, in thinking about hip opening, I wanted to do a pose that can be a bit challenging. So I'm going to show it to you first, and then you can decide if you want to. There's many variations of this pose. So it's Malasana, and we're going to come into a squat on our knees. And then I'm going to take the elbow, the knees out wide. And then from here, I'm going to reach forward. So if there's the other option is you can do this with your hips against the wall or against some stable surface, and then you reach your hands forward like this. So listening to your body, if your knees don't like it, we can come onto the knees and do like a modified child's pose. It's also really nice for waking up the feet. Letting the inner thighs release. And then bringing the knees in towards one another. You're gonna let your knees find the floor. So if you for this next pose, you might wanna grab some padding for your knees. So we're gonna come standing on the knees. And once again, you have options. So to go deeper into the pose, it's gonna be camel pose. To go deeper into it, we're going to have the feet flat, or you can also tuck the toes here. And go ahead and bring your hands to your hips. On an out breath, you're gonna let your hips come forward. And maybe this is enough. This is a nice opening through the front of the hips, the hip flexors. And then just seeing if you can let your fingertips come to your heels. Or one heel, just to start. If you're feeling up for a challenge, you can let the other fingertips find the heel. The other option is actually to reach one arm up. A nice opening through the front of the hips. Bring your left hand down to your pelvis. Bring your right hand to your pelvis. And then come back up to standing. And then we'll do the second side. So first, sending the hips forward. So the glutes engage. There is some tone in the abdominal wall. And then you're going to reach your left hand to your left heel. And then you can reach the right hand up. So sitting is flexion of the spine and the front of the body. So camel and poses that open the front are extension of the spine and the front of the hips. Then you go ahead and bring your right hand to your sacrum on the back of your pelvis. Engage the glutes, bring your left hand to the back of the pelvis. And come back to standing on your knees. From here, we're going to bring the right foot forward. And then from here, you're going to let your hips shift forward for a low lunge. So in low lunge, we're opening the front of the left hip. You can let your left hand come down to the floor. And so watch what I'm going to do first and then see if your body says yes. You're going to bend your left knee and reach towards the left heel. Really nice hip opener. And if this doesn't work for you, you can just stay here in low lunge. Go ahead and let your right hand come back down. Let your left toes find the floor. And then you're going to push back and straighten your front knee, your right knee, or half splits. Having a bolster or even a chair or wall next to you can help with balance. You want to bring your right hip back to lengthen the back of the right leg. Now the easiest thing, I'm gonna have to switch my directions. The easiest thing to do from here is you're gonna come to standing on your left knee, and then you're going to rotate towards the left. So your right foot is out to the side, right foot is pointing forward, and you're on top of your left knee. This is called gate pose, but I'm gonna switch my direction so I can see you guys. So you're on top of the left knee, you can bring your right hand on your thigh, reaching your left hand up, and then over. Just gonna move my camera angle a little bit. You can see my face. That's also really nice opening for the front of the hip. And then coming back up, you're gonna send your hips back and reach your fingertips to the floor. So this might be enough. This will lengthen the inside of the right thigh. If you feel like you have available to you, you can sit your hips back. It's kind of like a half child's pose. You can also come to your elbows if going all the way back doesn't feel good to you. So getting a nice lengthening through the inside of the right leg. Let's come up to our hands. And then coming up to our knees. And now we're going to switch. So you're going to bring your left leg forward for low lunge. Checking that your left knee is right on top of your left ankle. And you're right on the top of the right foot. And then letting your right hand find the floor. And then just seeing if this is available, you can bend your right knee and reach behind you. Letting your right toes come back down to the ground, bring your right hand, your left hand in front, and you're gonna push back to half splits. So really extending the sternum away from the belly button so your belly is long and you're not curling through the spine and the waist. Bring your left hip back, more opening and lengthening to the back of the leg. And then you can bring weight onto the left foot. We're going to turn out towards the right. So you're going to be on your right knee and your left leg's going to be extended. And then sliding your left hand down your left leg as you bring your right arm up and over. Lengthening the right side of the body. And then we'll reach up to come up. You're going to find the floor with your fingertips. So sending both hips back. You have some options. You can either come just to your forearms and reach the hips back. Or if it's okay for your knees, you can send your weight all the way back for a half child pose. Bring your hands underneath you to come up. Bring your left knee underneath you. And coming to standing here, maybe shaking it out. So this next pose is another challenging one. There's many variations. So maybe bringing some wide cushion. It's a frog pose. So we're gonna bring our knees apart from one another. And like child's pose, our hips go back, but here we actually want our hips in the same plane as our knees. Then you come to your forearms. So if your hips are a little bit forward, you can get into a deeper opening. But really listening to your body. The temptation is also to jump into the low back, so I'm going to push into the forearms so the low back is supported. And of course, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And then whatever way is possible, you can maybe just walk your body forward to your belly. And just taking a moment here, maybe with your forehead resting on your hands. So here we're going to bend the right knee. And you're going to reach your right hand towards your right ankle. So maybe you're just reaching in that direction. You're also going to reach your left hand forward. And then you're going to kick through the right heel. And see if you can lift the head a little bit off the ground. Reach the left arm forward. Half bow. And then coming down. If you do have your ankle, you can maybe hug your right ankle towards your right tush. And gently let it go. We'll do the second side. So reaching the right arm forward, bending your left knee. You can take your left fingertips towards your heel. Maybe wrap your fingertips around your left ankle. And then kick into the left hand and reach the right arm forward. Gently come down. Good work. Maybe rocking the hips a little bit side to side. Now you're going to reach your toe, point your toes behind you and push into your toenail. Your knees come off of the ground. So for a bit, you might have to have your forehead on the floor. And you're going to reach your hands and clasp your hands behind you. And on an out breath, reaching your fingers, your fists towards your heels for locust pose. If your body says yes, you can really point through the toes and then even the feet will come off of the floor. And gently coming down. So this next pose is optional. You can bend both knees and maybe your fingertips to your heels. This can be enough. If you're feeling adventurous, you're going to kick into your hands with your feet, letting your shoulder blades come towards one another and looking a little bit ahead of yourself for bows. Really nice for opening the chest and the front of the pelvis. We don't want to fall out of this. Let the knees fold slowly to come out of bow. And then swing your lower legs back and forth. A little windshield wiper. And then on your own time, we're going to come up to seated. I like to put a little bit of lift behind my hips so that I don't curl back. So I put a little bit of lift behind my hips, my spine is long. And then you can bring the soles of the feet together for Malasana, butterfly pose. And if you're wrapping your hands around your ankles, you can sort of hug your heels towards you, and that will open the front of the body. And then with the spine lengthen, you're going to fold forward. Going far isn't as important as having a long spine. You also have the option to take the feet further away from you, and it's a completely different stretch. Letting your breath move into your low back. And then gently walking your hands closer to you. And then we're going to do cow face again, but seated. So you're going to bring your left knee underneath your right. And then you're going to put your right knee on top of your left knee. Now the tempting thing to do here is to lean over to the left. You can either put a little support underneath that hip. And then see if you can bring your heels further away from you. So it's like one line from heel to knees to heel. This can be a pretty strong stretch. You can also, if your top knee is high, you can bring some support underneath. So just sitting here can be really a strong sensation. Letting your out breath soothe you. And then we'll actually bring the left heel in and have the right knee pointing up towards the ceiling. You're going to hug your right knee with your left hand. Reach your right hand behind you for a little seated twist. Typically, I like to mirror you guys and use your directions, but I realize I'm using my direction, so I apologize if that's a little confusing. And then slowly unwind. And we will bring the right knee underneath with the left knee on top. So this can already be a strong stretch. You can definitely bring some lift underneath the left thigh or the left knee. And then just challenging yourself just a tiny bit, letting the heels come a little bit forward and away from you. So it's really a strong stretch to the outside of the bottom leg. And then you can bring your right ankle, right heel closer to you. And then coming up onto the left foot with your left knee pointing up. Hugging the left knee with your right elbow. Reaching behind your back with your left hand for a little twist. And unwinding. Let's unravel the legs and shake them out a little bit. You're gonna bring your feet closer to you and wrapping yourself around your knees. So this is nice for the upper back. Stay here for a moment, really let your breath move low into your back. I've gotta check something that's happening in the other room. Someone started cooking something.
Ah.
Not me though, not me. All right, we're gonna come into a straddle. So that little tiny lift behind your hips lets your weight rock a little forward so you're not curled like this. So we want the pelvis to rock a tiny bit forward. And then keeping one of your lifts underneath you, you can roll it up by the belly, and then you're going to walk yourself into a forward fold. Getting all the way down isn't important. A long spine, so reaching the back of the head across the room, reaching the back of the head away from the shoulders so the neck is long and the spine is long is much more important. And you're flexing your heels so your feet don't roll in. If your body does want to go a little further, move on an out breath. And walking your hands back up. You're going to rotate your torso over your right leg and then walk your body over your right leg. We don't want to reach forward with the chin because that will compress the neck. So let the chin come down a little bit. Let the back of your head come away from your shoulders. And maybe you're just here. If you want to go deeper, move on an out breath. Reaching the back of your head across the room to come up. I did. And then now bring your body over your left leg. And then you're going to let your body fold over your left leg, reaching the back of the head across the room so the neck is long. So your breath will really move into the right low back and walking yourself up. We're going to bring our legs together and come off to the side. Then you're going to roll down your back. Taking a moment here in semi-supine. And then you're going to take your knees into your hands, right knee into the right hand first. Left knee into the left hand. And then stirring your femur bones, stirring your thigh bones in circles. So you can do as big a circle as you like, as small a circle as you like. And you can move in both directions, really lubricating the hip joints. And then extending your right leg. You may want to put a little support underneath your knees. That lets your low back release more. And letting your upper arms rest a little bit away from you, with the palms facing up for Shavasana. Letting yourself get sleepy. Letting your calves melt into the floor. Letting your thighs melt into the floor. Letting your shoulders fall into the floor. Letting go even in your armpits. Maybe there's a little space in your mouth so you're not clenching your teeth or your jaw. Really notice the breath falling out of you. The movement of your breathing is providing an internal massage, a visceral massage. And any sounds that you're hearing, just let them come into your attention and then disappear. And start to move your fingers and your toes. Rolling your wrists and your ankles. And maybe a big yawn and stretch. And then you can roll to your side. When you're ready, pushing yourself up to seated, but look towards the floor and aim the back of your head across the room while you come up to sitting, and that will lengthen your neck. So you're looking towards the floor, aiming the back of your head across the room, long neck, long spine. Finding a comfortable seated position. You can reach the hands up and around and overhead. Bringing the palms together. And then sliding them down to the top, thumbs at the brow, in between the two brows. And then we can bow. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and sharing your practice with me. I'm so grateful. Namaste.
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 I felt that.